Burnley can't seem to keep out of the national spotlight. First, its football team got promoted. The area made headlines again when the British National Party won its first county council seat in neighbouring Padiham. Then Nick Griffin won his seat in Europe. The other parties filed off stage in protest, refusing to engage with the BNP.
You see them there turning their backs on the electorate and a democratic verdict in a democratic election.
Of all the places in the northwest, it was Burnley that delivered the BNP its highest share of the vote, about 15%. But even here, the party only came fifth. What actually helped Nick Griffin get elected to the European Parliament was a collapse in the Labour vote.
It's a free country, people vote how they want to, but I don't think that the Labour Party has in any way abandoned its core constituency. Our values are very strong and very powerful, and it's about empowering those people who, through no fault of their own, find life harder, whether it's due to accident of birth or geography or what's happened to them. I think the power and the role of a Labour government is precisely to support those people who find life hard.
In the quiet town of Padiham, the message was pretty clear. People here are well aware of what the BNP and their new county councillor Sharon Wilkinson stands for.
I'm sure that the people who voted for Sharon Wilkinson knew exactly what they were doing, because there is quite a considerable amount of support for the BNP.
To put it bluntly, the decent people feel they're not being represented by the people who they elected.
I'm not racist, we just feel like we're getting too many people in and just like need to give it a rest for a year or two, just to let things settle down, you know.
They're really disillusioned with Labour around here. The Liberal Democrats benefited most, but for some, the BNP's success was inevitable.
Well, the mainstream parties have been playing on immigration, they've been playing on those that are poorest in society for years now, absolute years, and all the far-right parties have done is take that and take it one step further and put the ethnicity tag on it as well.
Much of the segregation in these former mill towns is ingrained.
We do have white flight, we also have Asian flight too, particularly in housing, not so much in schools, but the schools are also very divided. And yet where mixed schools are happening, there are some very good things going on within the curriculum.
In Burnley, they're trying to get to the root of the problem, and they're starting with education.
This is first and foremost about education, children, young people, not about saying we're trying to bring different communities together. Then you have to focus on something. Focusing on investing in our children and young people is the key thing that we've done. We've also not taken for granted the fact that there are some divisions in our communities and we have to build bridges. If we don't do that with our children and young people, then we're not going to ensure that we've got a good, culturally diverse society for the future.
At the Burnley campus, the different groups seem to be mixing.
I think after the riots we have been quite united in a way because we haven't experienced much of the racist attacks or anything like that again. And I think that has kind of united us and made us aware that what are the consequences of us dividing ourselves.
Older generations, they were quite racist and segregated and everything, but now in like lower school and everything, it's teaching you about RE and to mix more and different communities coming together.
Half of my friends, not most of them do mix, but like most of my friends, like my close friends, they have a lot of like people with the outside ethnic minority people, but not all of them do.
I know a lot of people that don't necessarily mix, but they are willing to. It's not the fact that they don't want to, it's just they never really thought to.
The majority of the people, even in school environment or anywhere else that I know of, are against the BNP because they're not really putting a really positive picture across other people. Like, you know, they're trying to separate the community.
The authorities hope that by integrating these kids now, they'll develop the habit of a lifetime.